Okay, guys, so I think a lot of people are struggling with how to do their flowcharts correctly. So I've just kind of put a rough one together and I'm going to talk through how it looks. You need to understand that this is the early part of your planning. And so these are not expected to be 100% accurate. And the final way you're going to do things, they're just you breaking down your thinking so that anyone who doesn't know you, hasn't had a chat with you, could read this and get a rough idea of how you plan to program this. You need to use the right shapes and you need to use the same programmatic thinking and kind of computational methods. But conceptually, you just need to kind of list through the steps. So I'm going to ignore this one for the moment. In fact, I'm going to disappear it off the screen so you can't see it all just because it's distracting. And just roughly, I mean, I've literally just thrown this together. I haven't finished putting my yeses or nos on yet, but obviously, I always start with the start. So I'm going to start with my click event. So what is going to kick off this algorithm is that the login button is pressed. So first check, are any fields empty? If the answer to that is yes, display error message and go back to the beginning. And in fact, I am going to move this to above here because actually, there we go, that doesn't matter too much. All of these processes should take us back to before the login button is pressed so that they have a chance to re-enter their entries. Okay, so if the fields are not empty, then we can move on to the next step, which is, does the username input match the regular expressions that you've decided upon? So if you've said that it must have X amount of characters, blah, blah, blah. Why do we need to do that in the login? Because you need to think about the fact that SQL injection, which is the ability to, so this is going to be searching your database based off that entry. You do not want for somebody to be able to directly search your database without checking that input first to make sure that, for example, it's no longer than 10 characters, doesn't contain XYZ special characters, whatever it might be. So that's actually to do with cybersecurity and just general computing security, which is really, really important. So does it match? Yes. If not, again, error message, because it means that the username they have put in isn't valid, or doesn't match the criteria. Does username match regular expressions? Yes, then go search the database. So remember, this symbol is just a process or a step. Again, we have another if statement, a selection, is username found? And I need to put my yeses and nos in here, but obviously if it's yes, return username and password. And if it's no, then again, it's not been found, go back to the beginning, get them to enter something different. Then I have a subroutine, and that's what you see over on the other side of the screen. I'll talk for that in a second, but basically it's asking me to run this whole subroutine, and it will not start this next step until all of this code has been executed. All you need to know right now is that that subroutine does the whole hashing password bit and checks whether the two match. It's going to return a Boolean variable, does match equal true? And if the answer is no, error message, because that means that their password doesn't match. And also if it does, then yes, display success message, load home screen, end. You know how to do that. You've done it before as a class. You just now need to be able to put it into a flowchart. I'm not going to pretend this was quick. This whole thing took me 10-15 minutes, including the next one, but it is a really vital part of the programming. So this bit here, this is our symbol for a subroutine. It's our rectangle, but with additional little lines. I'm sure there's a proper name for it. Some of you mathematicians might know. What does my subroutine look like? This is a really simplified version, and that's all I'm asking for. It doesn't have to be the right terminology and the complex algorithms, just a simple approach to it. So does the salt equal none? So when you pass through the data into the hashing algorithms, if you remember, we need to split the password that comes back from the database into its core password, and then the salt is stored with it. So we've split that, passed it through. If no salt is passed through, then this means that we're actually trying to encrypt a new password. So we're going to deal with that separately. That's not appropriate for our login. Our login only wants to deal where there is a salt present because it's just checking. So we're just going to output an error message for the moment. And then if, however, the salt, so that's if it does equal none. So yes is going this way. If it doesn't, and I will put my yeses and nos on before I send this to you guys, then it's going to come down here. So does salt equal none? Equal none? No, it doesn't equal nothing, which means there is a salt available. So password to be hashed is equal to the password given by the user, password in, and the salt that we now have. Once that algorithm's been run, does hash password match the database password? So probably could put an extra step in here saying actually run the hash. I'll update that possibly, but you get the idea. Even if you sent me this without the extra step in, I wouldn't say that that was inaccurate because it does show the majority of the thinking process. So does it match the database password once it's been hashed? The answer is yes, then we're going to return matches equal to true. And if the answer is no, then we're going to display an error message. When we get to the end of this bit here, it just literally then moves on to the next bit here. So that's how you are going to do flowcharts. You have got quite a lot of flowcharts to do. I'm a little bit concerned at this point that we're not getting enough work done at home. I know it's been a really, really testing time. I honestly do. Like it's really hard to motivate yourself to get this done. But if we don't make progress, then we are just going to have to postpone doing the coursework until September so that we can actually support you better. And that isn't in any way meant to be a punishment to anyone. I just don't want you guys not to do as well. And so Miss Kane will pick it up with you in September. And be able to show you kind of what to do in a bit more hands-on way, but we'll see how this goes. So obviously have a watch of this, go over it again. I will completely add my yeses and nos, and I'll actually send you this file as well as some screenshots of it, and I'm going to set you your work for this week. We've got a double lesson Monday, so what I would like is for everyone to send me at least a minimum of 4 flowcharts. We're factoring in kind of half an hour per flowchart because you're very new to doing them, but 4 is the absolute minimum I expect of everybody. They need to be with me by the end of Monday. And then also you have 2 more lessons through the week. However, one of those will be theory. In fact, I'm probably going to make both of those theory lessons because we haven't done a huge amount with everything that's been going on. And we're going to start doing some stuff around data structures because that's important to know as you get further into your programming.